Hello and welcome to our April Leaders Hangout. We are so glad you joined us today. My name is Angela Craig and I am the director of the Women's Department for the Northwest Ministry Network. And whether you are female or male, today's topic is for you. So before I introduce our amazing guest today, Krista Dunk, I want to tell you a little bit about our Hangout. In case you are new today, our Hangout has very interesting topics every month. In fact, you can go to our website anytime, nwmhangout.com, and find an archive of great subjects about if you want to become a coach, or maybe you're interested in learning how to pray. There is just an armload of things for you as leaders in whatever you lead, whether at home or in business or in church. So we welcome you today. We always have relevant and interesting topics, inspirational guests, and empowering conversation. Speaking of conversation, we invite you at any time to join us in this time together as we are live on Google Hangout today. And all you have to do is get on your Twitter account and use the hashtag in front of WM Hangout. So hashtag WM Hangout. And the hashtag is simply the # if you're new to Twitter. So # WM Hangout, and then you can ask us a question, ask Krista a question, or if you have a comment, or if you want to retweet something that Krista said that was empowering to you, then please do that. That would be great. And you can always share our archived videos as well there. So thank you so much. We're glad you joined us today. So let's get started. Today, I want to introduce to you Krista Dunk, a great friend of mine and a woman in ministry. And she is also a speaker and a writer and the project director. Is that the correct title?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Of Creative Force Press. And our subject today is actually taking the intimidation out of writing your first book. And actually, Krista, to be honest, I'm writing my second book, and so this is really for me, taking the intimidation out of writing my second book. And publishing. Publishing is a big obstacle for people, and I think sometimes that can really halt the writing process. It's just you have words that are put on your heart. You know that you like to write. Maybe you question whether you're a good writer or not, but we want to encourage you today, and Krista is the right person to do that. So let me tell you about Krista's books, and then I want her to tell a little bit about herself, because she's an amazing person of encouragement and talent. So first of all, she's written 2 books, Step Out, which has a separate workbook and a journal that goes with it. And then also Take Your Place in the Kingdom Seekers devotional. And so, Krista, why don't you tell us a little bit about those 2 books that you've published?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you. Yeah, and the first one's full title is Step Out and Take Your Place. And then the second one is Kingdom Seekers devotional. And those were, dear to my heart. I think the first book, the Step Out and Take Your Place, I got published in 2011, and really talk about the intimidation of publishing and writing. That book, I didn't necessarily know what I was doing at the time. I just knew I had something to say. And I feel like probably some of the people who are listening or will listen to this, they can probably relate to that too. You probably can too, Angela. And you feel like I have something to say, God wants me to share something, I don't really know what I'm doing, so I might need some help, and I would suggest definitely getting some in any area that you may need it. And so that was quite a journey in itself, and been very blessed to have written that. That's actually a book that's for the body of Christ, and it's about people knowing in theory that God has a plan for their life, but not really understanding or seeing clearly, having clarity about what it really is, or not knowing how to figure it out either. And it details a lot of my journey with the Lord in seeking Him for that in my life, and then carrying it forward, helping others to do the same. And Kingdom Seekers Devotional is one that just came out this year in January. And it's more of a work from my journals. Actually, the Step Out and Take Your Place journey that I started with God kind of has continued, and beyond kind of what His calling is for me now, just different revelations and things in prayer time and study, things that have come up. So that's what Kingdom Seekers Devotional is about. So, yep, and I live in Olympia. I'm a mom. My husband and I have been married since forever, 1993. And so, yeah, life is good, life is full. Creative Force Press is an amazing opportunity to help people get stuff written and get the words out that God has given for them to share. So I really enjoy it.
It's great. And tell me what your mission statement is for Creative Force Press, because I think it's awesome.
Inspiring, actually, it's like helping aspiring authors to release their dream and not just hold on to it and never release it. So we really want people to express and release the dreams that God has for them.
That's great. I love it. I love how you inspire others to just take a step forward. Like you said, stepping out, right?
Right.
So let's step out and talk about the things that hold us back from living this dream of writing or publishing. Because I've had some mental breakthroughs just from conversations with people that have published. Like you mentioned a couple of things, like taking your journal and making it into a devotional for other people. Taking your blogs and making them into a book. I know Angela Howard did that. She made her blogs divided it into sections. So parenting, family, marriage, and made it a book. And this is a way that you can share your knowledge, your experience with other people who don't necessarily write, but love to read, and you can put it on ebook or put it in print, and there's some fairly simple ways to do that. It's just a matter of gaining that knowledge. So this is going to be a great day for you if you're interested in writing, and maybe you've never even picked up a pen, but you have always had it on your heart that you knew someday you would write. So what do you think, Krista, stops people from writing and publishing?
We hear several things, I think, repeatedly. Every once in a while there's a random answer that we haven't heard before, but usually it's one of maybe 5 things. I think the first one we hear most often is time. I don't know if I have time to write, I'm so busy, maybe I'm a mom, I'm in ministry, or I'm doing a lot of serving and volunteering, I have a job. It's finding the hours to actually write. But if you think about it, think about all the books that have been written in the world. A lot of super busy people have books. So somehow they made it a priority. And I think if we can give ourselves a goal, I think this is the best advice that I can give people about time. If you have a goal, say, okay, we call it the book in hand date. What is the date that you want to have your book in your hand? Is it Christmas, the end of this year? I don't know. Let's just say. Figure out, okay, what's my goal for writing? Do I want this? Is this going to be something that's a large book? Is it going to be more of a smaller, just a little bit of information? But figure out maybe what exactly it is you have to say, how long you think that project might be. But then just take your time and kind of divide it up. Go, okay, if I want my book to, say, have 50,000 words in it, and that'd be honestly a pretty average sized book, maybe 175-page book or something like that. Okay, so if you need 50,000 words, what if you write 10,000 words a month? Okay, so what does that look like per week then? So you can make goals for yourself in small chunks, and it makes it seem much more doable. So that's a really good thought with the time. The next one we hear often is money. I don't know, how much is it gonna cost me? Just the budgeting for all of that as well. And that's when I think some research comes into play. There are some things that people can do on their own. If you're real savvy and resourceful, you may be able to, especially if you have more time than you do money, you may be able to figure out some of these steps and publishing related activities yourself. But if you're going to need some help, I would say do some research and just find out now how much that it's going to cost, and then you can plan ahead for that. Maybe when people work with Creative Force Press, a lot of times we even let people do some payments and things like that. So it could be really doable. And don't let the thought of, I don't know how much it's going to be and it seems unknown, to just stop you right there. Find out, and then you can make a plan from there. One other thing that I've noticed a lot of people talk about is they think they're not a good writer. Maybe they had someone in their high school English teacher or something said, gosh, you got a C minus, you're not doing real well in this whole writing thing. And I think sometimes we, even as adults, carry some of that forward in life. And quite frankly, maybe some of us are not the best writers in the world. But that doesn't mean you don't have something important to share or express or say. And so in that case, get some skill building going. It's real easy to improve your writing, and talk to people about maybe some of the writing bad habits that you might have, and you can get those fixed. Or just help, partner with someone who has great English skills, and they can help you. Or and that's what editing's for too, honestly. And every day, that's part of my job, is helping people and their writing to improve. So if you think you can't write, just put that aside. There's people that can help you. You can improve your skills, and so don't let that stop you. And on that note, I know some of us feel like I can speak better than I can write. And if you can speak, one of the great things that you could do is record yourself talking your book, and then go back, and you could even have somebody else type that up for you if you gave them some audio files. There's also some software where you can run your voice through it, and it's kind of like with your phone, talk to text. It will type it actually for you, run it through its process. So there are solutions for that as well. So fear not, you can do it.
That's awesome. Okay, so I have to share my experience with time, money, and confidence.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So time, yes, having a full-time job in ministry, nonprofit organization, and then I was getting my master's degree, and of course, priority of being a wife and a mom of 2 teenage boys, and wanting to write, having the goal of writing. I had to have a goal for sure. And so when for my final thesis for my master's, I asked my professor, said, can I write a book for my thesis? He thought I was crazy. He's like, you're going to do that in 12 weeks? And I said, yes, I'm going to do that in 12 weeks. I'm going to write 1 chapter a week. And I did. And it's not a big book. It's 100. It's like a 5x7. It's 180 pages or something. But it's 33,000 words. But it's pivot leadership, and it's small steps. So it's not supposed to be big. So it worked out, and now I think to myself, I don't have time to do what I did then, but I have the same amount of time, if not more, because I'm not going to school, right? So it is about making that goal, and then also having other people to be accountable to. As far as money, I remember the first person I talked to that said, how much would it cost to publish? And they said, well, at least $10,000. And right there, that stopped me. I thought, I will never publish, or I will do it by myself, and I'll pass out a few copies to my friends and family. But that's not the truth. So like Krista says, do your research, and also just networking and talking to people, because everybody has different strengths and talents. So when I sent my book out and said, I'm looking for people to review this book, I had people email me back after reading it and say, are you wanting editing done on this? And I was like, sure, if you want to spend the time to edit. I had several people read the whole thing and edit it. One woman sent me 9 pages of edits. As it turned out, through this process, she found out this is her gift. Line editing is her gift to give to the world. And it is like the best gift I could get, because for me, like that confidence of writing, having a traumatic brain injury, I'm not the best technical writer. And so I need that person's gift to partner with my ideas and make it something. So for me to have the gift of others to walk with, we can't be afraid to collaborate in that way and just ask for help. And people want to use their gifts. So now, like you and I right now, we're jazzed about writing. We're jazzed about other women and men publishing the words that God has put on their hearts. So we're like, let's share what we know. We don't know everything, but we can share what we know and what we've learned in the process from other people. So that's what it's all about, really, I think. Let me see if I had anything else that came to mind when you were talking, because I was just like, yes, yes, yes. Overcome those obstacles.
Yeah,
and
that's
just
right.
put it on paper. The whole thing about perception of if you've had someone tell you that you can't write, it's very possible that you've had someone tell you couldn't write a certain style of writing.
Yeah.
And that's, if you had a certain style of writing, when I was doing research papers, my teacher who told me I could write a book, he said, you don't write great research, but you write great leadership. So there was a difference, but he distinguished the difference. And I yes, he's right. I don't want to write AP research papers for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So just know that just because someone said maybe someday that you weren't a good writer, they only were specifically talking about that one paper, and so you just gotta throw that out, right?
That's totally true, because there are a lot of different styles of writing.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the voice. Are you writing a research style, research voice, technical voice? Are you writing a friend, like a friend, with a friend voice, or a trainer? Or there's all these different ways of conveying information, and it all depends on your audience and your topic, kind of what fits best there, what's most appropriate. Who are you to them? Maybe you're their pastor. Maybe you're their friend. Maybe you're their technical advisor. So that's a really good point. And there's a couple more obstacles too that we see. If you want me to mention those right now.
Yes, let's talk about that.
Okay. One of them I think is really important. Well, they're all important. But this one, I think, it's like in the soul of a person. I think sometimes people, when they're thinking about writing a book or something like that, they think, well, who cares? Who's going to care what I have to say anyway? Who's going to read it? Why would anyone want to hear what I have to say? We have heard that quite a few times. And I think that can stem from a lot of different things inside of a person. Maybe the feeling of insignificance or inferiority, or just that someone they don't feel like they are valued, or I don't know what that is. It could be many different things. But I want to just encourage everyone, if you have something to say, please say it. If God has given you something, the testimonials and testimonies that people have, and maybe your book isn't all about your testimony, maybe it could be on any topic. But if you have something that other people need that's going to improve the lives of other people, please write it. You don't know who it's going to impact. You don't know how it's going to change someone's life or help them move forward in some way, or give them some kind of strategy that they were missing and need. You just don't know. And so if you feel God saying, right, I need you to tell this, whatever it is, please be obedient, because there's somebody waiting on the other side of your obedience when you express and when you write and when you give out of yourself. So that's just an important thing. Don't feel like, well, who cares? Nobody's going to want to read what I have to say anyway. Yes, some people will. Not everybody. I mean, let's be honest, maybe not everybody cares what I'm going to say. But there are a certain maybe group of people that I feel like God has set up specifically for me to influence. And those people care. Okay, so you have a group of people who God has called you to influence and impact. Those people need you. Okay. Lastly, I feel like we hear people say, I don't understand the writing and publishing process. It seems like this big, huge thing that I can't even get a picture, or I can't wrap my mind around it. And so a lot of times that ultimately stops people and they do nothing, because a lot of us, like we were talking about, Angela, are kind of analytical, and we like to plan ahead. And if certain people don't see a big picture, they don't understand the steps in the process, they just kind of shut down and don't even start. So that's one of the things at Creative Force Press we love to do, is try to educate people about the process. What does that look like? So that lack of understanding of that doesn't stop people. So yeah, that's kind of our last obstacle we hear often.
That's good. And you shared with me, I mean, first of all, I wanted to say thank you for those words of encouragement, because I know that it's hard to believe sometimes that our writing has an effect on people. And if you're writing a blog and no one comments on it, trust me, people are reading it, they just don't comment. So there are, in this last weekend, we had our Her Voice conference, and I talked about Lollipop moments. There's a TED Talk from Drew Dudley, and it's Everyday Leadership. And he talks about giving people lollipop moments. He had a lollipop moment at his college. He did something for someone and didn't even know that it changed their lives. And it was handing someone a lollipop, and it was the turning point for her to decide to stay in school.
Wow.
And 4 years later, she came to him and said, you were the reason I stayed in school, was this lollipop. And so if you're writing or you're speaking or you're sharing your voice in whatever way that God has granted you that gift, you are giving people lollipop moments you don't know about. Mm-hmm. And so you just have to have that faith that you're doing what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And be obedient with it. So, okay, so Krista's going to share four steps in the process. Is that correct?
Yes. And should I do that quickly?
Yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
We have time. This is important.
Okay. I will be brief, but informative. Okay. Really what we talk about when people are wondering about the process of getting a book completed, we'll say, okay, phase 1 is your concept creation and development. Now, if you're like me in my first book, I did not really do that phase very well, and I ended up having a bunch of jumbled up stuff that I had to sort through later. And you can certainly do that. It works. I have a book. But I would say if you can take a little bit of time up front and do some planning, like things like, what do I want to say? What's the point? What do I want my reader to walk away with when they're done reading this? Maybe they're walking away with hope. Maybe they're walking away with some sort of action steps. Maybe they're walking away with some kind of emotional healing, maybe. I don't know. Could be anything. It just depends on your topic. So take a lot of time to think over some of these things. What's the concept of this thing? Who is the audience? Maybe even come up with, in your mind, like you're writing to one specific person. Who are they? How old are they? What does their life look like? What are their needs at this moment, you know, and to think about too, like we talked about earlier, what voice are you going to use, what writing style, who are you to that person? And so you can do a little bit of even outlining if you'd like in this kind of phase. I like that, but that's the way my analytical mind works, and some of you may not necessarily want to outline at this point, but you certainly could. And if you're outlining, maybe think about some of your main points that you want to touch on, or maybe they're even your main stories from your past experiences, or whatever that looks like. It totally depends on your topic and audience. But think about some of those things, and if you do that, like if you think about, okay, I'm writing a book to Christian business owners, and I'm going to talk about some of my experiences and some of the best practices that I found and some scriptural things that pertain to this group of people. I would say sit down and go 10 things. What are the 10 things that you really want to get across? Write them down. And then when you get to this phase 2, which is writing, you're actually doing work of writing, you can start to even fill in the blanks of what you've already established in your concept creation and development phase. Maybe you have an outline already with some thoughts, and you just sit down to write and go, yeah, today point number 3, I have something to say and I'm thinking about that today. Okay, we'll start writing on that for a while. And it's not like you have to start from page 1 and go to the last page, whatever that would be. You can sit down and you can write, when you have an outline, on any topic that you look at in your outline for that day and feel like you have something on your heart or on your mind to put down about that. I would also say pray as you sit down to write, because I'll tell you, sometimes in my writing processes, I will just pray like, God, I'm not that smart. You're super smart. Help me to get across in a clear way what you want to say. And then sometimes you'll find yourself, when you do that, you'll go back and you'll go, oh my gosh, that was way smarter than me. That's really good. And you totally know that was God helping you. I mean, it's pretty cool. So writing, that's phase 2. Phase 3, publishing. And that comes with a huge amount of decisions and, like I said, some research. And depending on how you want to go about that, you have some options. You can do kind of a pure self-publishing way that you're basically doing everything yourself. You're figuring out every piece you need, every step, every graphic design, all of your editing and kind of thing. I would say, though, please have help with editing. I mean, I think nothing says self-published in a kind of a negative way more than stuff that's not edited and a bad book cover. So maybe if you're going to get some help in any area, maybe with those 2, that would be good. But so there's like pure self-publishing, or there's on the other end of the spectrum, traditional publishing houses like the big ones, Random House or Thomas Nelson or something like that. And then in the middle, there's a lot of other options, kind of hybrid companies that can help authors. And just really, I think, do a little research and figure out which is going to work best for you, because there's a lot of options that I feel like weren't really there 15 years ago for authors, but they are now. Publishing. Okay, that was phase 3. Phase 4, the last one, and it is a big feat in itself, is the marketing and selling of it. So writing a book is a big deal, but then a whole another big deal part of it is the marketing and selling of it. And that could be a whole class in itself, really, but there's a lot of ways that online and offline authors can get the word about their book out. And one of the best ways we've noticed is when you're seen and heard, especially in person or even on interviews like we're doing today, or just really any way that you can get your face and your voice and your message in front of people so that they can know, like, and trust you and really connect with you. that's one of the best ways to get your books out to others and get sales. So those are the 4 phases: concept creation and development, writing, publishing, and marketing and selling.
That's good. Yeah. It's one thing, you think it's hard enough just to write something down, and then you get to the publishing and you realize even if you do go with traditional publishing, like someone else publishes your book for you, you still are the primary person to do the marketing.
Yes,
if you want your book to sell, you need to be the one selling it. So you need to be, maybe you have a speaking alongside your book where you have books that you bring with you. Or you, like you said, I had a live author chat last time for the Hangout with Lynn Bob, and she has, I have 13 books, I think. But that's another way, like you said. Or social media is a great way, but doing author chats in person or at bookstores or libraries. But it does take, I mean, you need to be an entrepreneur and an author at the same time, unless you have somebody that will do it for you. So you can hire people. And I think what you mentioned as far as publishing with the hybrid publishers, many of them will do parts of what you need. So if you are skilled in one area, maybe you don't need editing, but you need a book cover. Or maybe you have a book cover, but you need editing. So you might be able to pay them for one service or another, or you need help with marketing, or you need a suggestion to build a platform for social media, like you need a new website. So all those things are things that you can learn about, and if you have questions about, you can email us. And actually, I think, why don't you go ahead and share your information with them now?
Oh, okay. Sure, yeah. Creative Force Press, you can find our information on our website. We're on Facebook as well, but our website is creativeforcepress.com, and you can see some of our other titles that we've done and information about our services. And we have kind of packages set up for authors, but we do from time to time, like you mentioned, Angela, do help people with just certain pieces of their process and things like that. So, yeah.
So if you don't see what you need on Krista's website, just email her and ask her. I mean, there's no harm. I mean, she may say yes, she may say no, but at least she would probably have a resource for you. So depending on what your need is. And also, if you sign up for they have a newsletter, which is really helpful. And if you sign up for that, you get a 75-minute free video about publishing, right, in depth.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it's a webinar. Yeah.
A webinar. So that's something other people paid for, and you get that free for signing up, and then you get their newsletter. So I recommend that. That's great. Is there anything else that you think people should know in our 30-minute leadership training today? It's hard to figure it all.
Yeah. If I could give any last words, I would say that I never started out personally thinking that I was going to write a book. That wasn't on my to-do list, really. And so I would say it's one of those things that God will move you to do that. If it's your own idea, it might just be a good idea. But if you know it's a God idea, that is something that you should move forward with, because, again, like we talked about, it's kind of an obedience thing, and there are other people waiting for you on that. So I would say be in prayer about it. Don't be intimidated by it at all, because, hey, if God is with you and He's for you, who can be against you? And don't even be against yourself, okay? Just have that confidence that if He's called you to it, then it's going to be great and you can do it. So that would be my encouragement.
That's right. Step out and walk on water, because He'll provide for you. So it'll work out, and you will be surprised at all the resources that you can find. So we want to be that first step for you. And so please, you can email me anytime if you have questions. I don't have all the answers, but I am going through the process for the second time and happy to share what I know or what I've learned from other people, or to send you to somebody to get information. I'm always good at that too. So send you to smart people that can do that. So Angela C for Craig at Northwest, all spelled out, ministry with a Y on the end.com, or send me a tweet and we will chat about publishing your first book. So thank you so much, Krista, for being with us today. I really appreciate it. Oh, the other place you can find us is on our Facebook page, Northwest Ministry Network Women's Department. If you're not connected there and you're in Women in Leadership, I highly recommend it. We exchange a lot of resources and encouragement on that page. Coming up in our network, we have amazing things going on. There's always training. If you are a man or a woman in leadership and you're looking for training for anything, pastoral care, you're looking for training for children's ministry or youth ministry or women in ministry, we have it all. Just look at our website, nwministry.com, and you'll find it there. And we also have it coming up next October. We just had our Spring Her Voice event. Basically what this is, if you're a woman in ministry and you are interested in learning to share your story, your voice audibly, not by pen, we have an application process for you to speak, and then we connect you with a mentor who is one of our area leaders, and you write a 15-minute speech and they critique you and offer very positive feedback, and then you get to present at the conference. And so the conference is for everybody, and it's a true encouragement from God and from the person who's sharing their voice and their story and their calling with the world. So we just want you to be empowered in your calling and released to do ministry where you are today. So our next one coming up is in Spokane on October 10th. It's $29 to attend. And if you need more information for that, just go to hervoice.us and you'll find all the information and application process there. You can also host a Her Voice in your church. We want to multiply this event and get as many women in ministry as we can. So that is our goal. Let's see if I have it. Oh, we talked about archive events of the leadership training on the WM Hangout, but we didn't talk about future events. So coming up, Krista, we have some really exciting things. Actually, from annual conference, Angela Howard and Kim Martinez, who are both credentialed ministers, they're going to be doing a workshop at annual conference, and then on our Hangout in June, they'll be re-teaching the same workshop on our leadership training, and it's called Amplify, Expanding Your Influence Through Blogging. So maybe someone doesn't want to write a book, but they'll be talking about blogging. And then next month, I have guest Cindy Pollard, and we're going to be talking about taking the stigma out of aging, and so how to discuss caregiving for aging parents or aging spouses. And so that's going to be a really good one. So I hope you'll join us here at WMHangout.com, and enjoy your spring, and happy Easter, everybody. Thank you, Krista, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela.
Well, it was a joy and a pleasure. Thank you for all the advice you gave to people. I know that it really is going to propel many to write. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.